What's up guys, and welcome back to Sliced. Now, a couple months ago I was in Saudi Arabia and it was a really great trip, and towards the end of it we tried this really amazing rice dish that was made for us by the locals. It was so good that I asked the chefs how they made it, and once it was translated I only had 3 things to go by. They said they cooked the rice in milk, butter and smen. Smen is like a Moroccan fermented clarified butter. And so with just those 3 things in mind, I came back and I thought, how can I make this? And I've developed a recipe which I think is the perfect rice dish.
So what we're going to do first is take about 1.5 kilos of bones. They're usually very cheap in any butcher. We're going to use mutton bones in this case. My butcher didn't have bones, so I went for the next cheapest cut, which was the neck. You just want a cut of meat that's got a lot of sort of bone, cartilage and connective tissue, which is going to really help with a stock. And of course, if you can't find any lamb or mutton, you can use chicken wings. Next, we're going to need 600 grams of basmati rice, about a teaspoon of cardamom and about 4 grams or 1 sachet of saffron threads. For the liquid part of it, you'll need half a litre of milk.
When it comes to your milk as well, make sure you're not using any old milk. Really use good quality ingredients, so at least go for organic milk. I mean, if you're lactose free like me, go for lactose free milk. If you're vegan, doors over there. I'm just kidding. If you're vegan, use cashew milk or oat milk instead, or some rice milk, but just make sure that you use a really good quality type of milk.
We're also going to need 2 tablespoons of ghee. If you can find the Moroccan smen, even better. And to complete this trilogy of dairy, we'll need half a block of butter.
Now when it comes to butter, don't be skimping out on like some cheap butter. The butter is really going to come through in this dish, so you want to make sure that you have a really good quality sort of pack. Just pay an extra 50p or a pound and get a really nice sort of good quality butter, preferably European. French butter is amazing and it really makes a difference when you're making something like this. You really do taste the butter.
So yeah, once you've stopped your existential crisis over the importance of dairy, we can move on to our actual recipe. And so we're going to take our bones or neck and roast it in the oven for about half an hour at 200 degrees. And once you've done this, you're going to transfer it to a large stock pot and cover it with just about enough water so that the bones are barely covered. You can also add some onions and aromatics if you want, but I'm keeping it very simple. You want to bring it to the boil and very carefully, in small amounts, remove the fat and scum that comes to the surface. It's just going to give you a much purer taste to your stock. And then we're going to reduce it to a simmer and let it develop in flavour. And now we're going to move on to my favourite part. Once you've strained your stock, you're going to add a tiny bit of it to your saffron. And it helps if you have a pestle and mortar. If not, you're just going to bloom your saffron by swirling it around. And as you can see, the flavour and the colour really just blooms and develops in this hot stock. You can also do this in a pan if you would like, or just keep it in a bowl. So now that we're pretty much set, we can move on to our rice. And so you're going to heat up your ghee in a pot and add in your cardamom, mixing it and just cooking it off slightly for about 2 minutes. You're going to wash your rice until the water runs clear and add your washed rice into this, stirring it very carefully so that you don't break up any of the grains. And once you've done this, you're going to go ahead and add 700 milliliters of your stock to this, along with your milk. And this will create a ratio of 2 parts of liquid to 1 part of rice. Although, only the real OG rice makers know about the finger method. It's not something I can teach you. You either have it or you don't. And once you've added these 2 things, you're going to add your saffron to this. And you're going to increase the heat to high and try and bring this to a boil. Now I'm stirring this in lightly. You don't really want to break it up too much, otherwise the rice will start to break. But you just want to sort of mix in all the flavors together. And once you see it starts to come to a boil, you're going to go ahead and cover it. Now you really want to build up steam, so if you think your lid will have gaps in it, you can use cling film instead. I use it quite often, and you're going to use it to make a very airtight sort of seal. You'll know that you've got it right because once it's properly wrapped and airtight, it will start to raise just like this because of all the steam that builds up. And then you just want to simply bring it to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer for about 10-15 minutes. You don't want to cook it all the way through, and I'll explain why in just a second. So as you can see, it's cooked for about 10 minutes and there's still a little bit of liquid left in the bottom. You just want to give it a very light mix around to get the saffron colour and flavour all the way through it. And once you've done this, we're going to bring in our cold butter And what this will do is emulsify itself into the rice as it steams, creating a really nice sort of silky texture. Oh, by the way, I forgot to add salt, so there's some salt in this recipe as well, of course, to your taste. So I'm going to take it off the heat, cover it back up in some cling film and just let it steam for a while. Let it steam for about 10-15 minutes and that's it. And so what we're going to do is plate up this rice straight away, just putting a few spoons. And to be honest, you can serve this with whatever you'd like. You can serve it with a curry, you can serve it with a tagine, or you can just eat it on its own. It's a meal in itself pretty much. So I'm just going to give it a try.
Oh my god. I normally just leave it as that, but wow, this rice is truly special. I mean, it's meaty, it's creamy, it's buttery, it's just perfect. I mean, there's no rice that I've tasted that's better than this, and this is why I absolutely love cooking. I mean, you go to a place, you go to a restaurant, you try something, it doesn't have to end there. Go home, try and make it, recreate it, fail, try again, do it different ways, and there's no reason why you can't make perfect food. Try this at home, I guarantee you it'll be one of the best rice dishes you've ever tasted.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of the best rice dishes I genuinely think you'll ever taste. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, follow me on my socials at sliced_YT and send me your attempts.